Hey everyone, Nick Savage here again. Welcome back to another edition of Us Legendary Gods. Me reading through it and doing a little bit of author commentary. Each week I do a little section of the chapter and talk about things that pop up in my head that happened while I was writing the book or are related to the book. Last week we left off with Tracy DeSalvo finding out she's pregnant when she shouldn't be, and how this will affect things. We introduced the concept of the nation, and we know she is not normal for all practical purposes. And today we continue. Scarlett stands in front of her bathroom mirror, staring at her freckled face, a face she has seen daily since she was old enough to possess self-realization. Yet this day something seems different. As if her face may not be good enough anymore. As if her face might not be representative of her junior class. Still, she stands staring at herself in the keynotes taped to the mirror. The usual suspects of a 16-year-old girl decorate the counter surrounding her bathroom sink. Half-empty face wash, an electric toothbrush set upright on a stand, a brush, a blow dryer, and a few other implements to help style her past shoulder-length copper red hair. A small neutral tone palette of eyeshadows and brushes sits next to a collection of varying red shaded lipsticks, all of which at this moment seem both overwhelming and inconsequential. She hopes to lose her curls and she hopes her loose curls. I swear to God, I wanted to say something. I'm going to say it. A lot of times authors, when they describe someone or introduce a character, will describe them down to a T right away, and I don't. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. I just find that, to me, it can be distracting to, like, story, stop, take a paragraph to describe something. And it can be a little distracting, so I just do little tidbits as they come in. But I never actually fully describe, I think, any of my characters, just bits and pieces. She hopes her loose curls are disarming enough to win over her peers. Stark red lipsticks and lip stains will contrast her usual natural tones of eyeshadows and blush. A bold statement for sure. Her Uncle Ken has helped guide her speech and prepare her up to this point. He has told her that making a statement will make her stand out, if only she knew what statement she was making. Her eyes turn to the bullet points taped to the mirror. She rereads each one. Peer tutoring, fine arts funding, and open campus. Her eyes squint at the thought of the decision she'll have to make. So she turns to her makeup that will finish off her look. The look that gives her the edgy professionalism she hopes will help her win. I do not do female voices. I don't have the voice for it. So pretend I'm a female when I read the dialogue. Thank you, class of 2019. I hope everyone... She lets her words trail off. Why am I thanking them? She ponders, taking a deep breath. Hello, class of 2019. For too long. Again, she trails off. Good afternoon, class of 2019. A small smile breaks across her face. Good afternoon, class of 2019. Thank you for the opportunity to fill the great shoes of our former class president. She stops. Scarlett stares. Scarlett stares into the mirror. So sometimes my Chicago and my lazy speech comes out and I say shit wrong. Scarlett stares into the mirror. Why elect me? She picks up a couple of different hues of lipstick. One labeled Sunset Strip and the other called Miss Red. She twists them up and down, over and over, unable to decide which color should adorn her lips. She knows it is going to be either of these two, not any of the other 11 shades of red sitting there. She's too preoccupied thinking about the upcoming debate, why her class should elect her, and the possibilities she could offer them so that her class should vote Scarlett McAllister for the empty spot. There's a doubt that lingers in her mind. A suspicion tells her it will be someone more popular, someone with more friends, because isn't that the way it works? Elect someone not based on what they can offer, but on how many friends they have. Perfectly logical. So a little tidbit about the naming here. The McAllister and another character in this book, Mr. Petrovsky, their last names are actually taken from Law and Order SVU. Petrovsky is one of the judges, and McAllister was also mentioned in a bunch of movies, most famously Home Alone. Not where I got it from, though. And then Tracy DeSalvo's last name comes from a serial killer. Because I can offer a new perspective, see things from a different point of view, and give the students what they've been missing. They will recognize that and vote for me. She nods at her reflection. Ken has told her to look approachable but professional, to come across as confident but not arrogant. All things are great tips to know, but past the surface of his words, all are rather vague. It is the vagueness of his words that frighten her, causing this momentary indecision. On more specific notes, she knows a longer skirt or dress is better than a short skirt, but the pants put her on the same level as men. She knows all these things, but she can't seem to decide on something as mundane as a lip color. She again reads over the bullet points taped to the mirror. The first calls for a better tutoring program, one which grants access to kids who can't typically afford it. The second point touches on how she will help allocate more money to the fine arts without taking away money from the athletics department. The third bullet reads of an open campus for seniors. She knows in her head she needs to eliminate one of these points, at least for the speech today. Her heart, alliteration, not good for me. Her heart, however, can't decide which one. I have had people tell me my books are difficult to read because of the way I write, and it's true, especially when reading them out loud. She practices how she'll present each bullet point as she has 100 times before. The tone of her voice she'll use, the inflection on certain words to bring home her points. All pointers given to her by Uncle Ken, West Haven legislator. Not that Scarlett remembers precisely what he does. She never could figure out politics, but here she is about to dive headfirst into high school politics. Either way, she'll make a splash into the political pool or splatter herself on the deck surrounding it. She looks back at the bullet points taped to her mirror, rehearsing the promises she'll make to better the student body's high school experience. Then she realizes that making promises comes with fulfilling promises, and fulfilling promises means deciding how to fulfill them. Then she has to determine a course of action to make her promises a reality, deciding which from her list of potential pledges to make. The slippery slope of campaign commitments yet to be sworn and eventually carried out. She laughs out loud and looks again at the girl in the mirror. Her pale blue eyes stare back. She thinks that if she cannot decide on a shade of lipstick, a decision that, in the end, has no real consequences, or which bullet point to leave out today, then how is she ever going to make crucial decisions as a class president? Her thoughts turn to the notion that maybe her run for class president wasn't the best idea. Self-doubt sets in as she thinks that forcing herself to do something extracurricular this year may not have been in her best interest. She would call out sick if she didn't have posters plastered all over the school hallways pleading for votes. She could stay home, play Ferris, and watch reruns of West Wing or Criminal Minds until she remembers each episodic plot outlined by heart. But she knows she can't back out and needs to give it her best. If not for her, then for her closest friends and classmates who are excited to hear the speech she said she was preparing. If you don't know what play Ferris means, you are clearly younger than an elder millennial, because everyone knows Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And if you've never seen that movie, watch that movie. It's phenomenal. I'm a big John Hughes fan, and these books, this series, was inspired by his writing and his style. Absolutely love it. Him, of course, I love my book, but that's not what it was referring to. But that's what these play Ferris means, if you didn't know. She wants to make her parents proud. The fleeting thoughts of surrender vanish from her mind as she steels herself again. She focuses on her stance, shoulders level, back straight, chin held high to project confidence. She stares at herself, practicing her smile, thinking, much like most teenagers, her smile isn't beautiful enough. It looks too fake if she keeps her lips closed. She seems like someone thinking superior thoughts about the people she'll be smiling at, so she doesn't want to do a closed lips smile. Then she tries a toothy grin, enough to see her pearly whites, but then she thinks she looks all tooth, a red-haired, freckled Julia Roberts smile. A mile wide and all teeth. No offense to Julia Roberts, you're beautiful, we love you. How she thinks it'll make her look like a horse. But between the two choices, she'll take a toothy, exposing Cheshire grin. It made Miss Roberts millions of dollars. It may get Scarlett elected class president. Then she thinks she might be overthinking the message a smile conveys. A voice from just outside the door calls to her that they must leave for school. Sunset Strip it is. If she's going to sell herself for president, she might as well do it wearing a lipstick named after a street famous for prostitution. And that is that chapter section. It seems a mundane setup, and so anybody who knows the tools of foreshadowing and blah, 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 it has its significance, and by the end of the series, it is really the best way and only way to kind of introduce Scarlet. No spoilers, but that is her introduction, and all I was really going for in that scene is to reveal that Scarlet is, of course, uncertain, unsure of herself, but she wants to do something more. The one thing I never do is spell things out. I don't make my reads easy, popcorn reads, and again, there's nothing wrong with popcorn reads. Sometimes you just want to sit on a beach in a world that's falling apart and read a good book. I was a huge fan of House, the TV show. Not House from Fallout and Fallout New Vegas. And the stark reality is kind of my jam. And so I never kind of spoon feed things. I always like these little clues and stuff like that. And it sometimes makes for people going, this is a little intense, or it's not my jam, and that's fine. We all have our audiences that we reach and the books that the readers like to read. So if you enjoyed that, come back with me next week. And I will be reading more of Us Legendary Gods. Of course, you can buy this anywhere books are sold. 4horsemanpublications.com, the number 4, horsemanpublications.com. Walmart.com, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, anywhere books are sold. If they don't have it in stock, ask for it. And read yourself something without all the side commentary. Until then, remember, it costs nothing to be kind.